see the shining light, the sun for the children to twinkle bright.
Hey color kids, it's Katie Carty-Hiley from RainbowBrite.net, and I'm here to give you a history lesson today. But don't worry, it's the colorful fun kind, not the boring put you to sleep kind. At least I hope it doesn't put you to sleep. With the coming of the new 16-inch Rainbow Brite doll from Hallmark, I thought it would be a good time to go ahead and do a little history lesson of all the large Rainbow Brite dolls we've gotten over the years. So I'm not going to go over all the Rainbow Brite dolls. These are only the ones like 15 inches and above, and just the character Rainbow Brite. I'm not going to go into the color kids and other characters. Just to make it a more manageable chunk of information. We'll get to the other dolls another time. But we're going to go ahead and start with the oldest and then go to the newest. So the first one that came out of the large dolls is the 18-inch Rainbow Brite made by Mattel. Now she's copyrighted 1983, but that's only the year that Hallmark copyrighted the character. Mattel did not put their own copyright on these. The copyright just applies to Hallmark. But they were made by Mattel and sold in 1984 and for a few years after that. But that's when they first came out, was in 1984. And like I said, she's an 18-inch doll. She's huge. She and the toy play doll, which I'll get to later, are the largest ones of the group. But I'll just go ahead and tell you about all the little details you could look for. So she doesn't have a lot of detail like some of the later dolls, as far as like she doesn't have a star on her armband. She doesn't have any stripes or straps or stars or anything on her feet. She's more of a simplistic doll, but this was a simpler time. They didn't have the technology we do these days to put details like that on. Really the only detail we get as far as her costume goes is her color belt, and that is like a heat transfer iron-on type deal. And as you can see, this one's a little bit faded. And over time, that glue loosens up, and a lot of these have fallen off over the years. So there's a lot of color beltless rainbows out there, poor things. And some I've had to just repair with glue myself, but they never look quite the same once they've come off. So I'm glad that future iterations did a better job with the color belt, but this one is still beautiful and timeless. We all love this doll because a lot of us grew up with her. Love the strawberry blonde hair. This is where this comes from, and some of the later dolls did not mimic that. But this is always going to be my favorite hair color because that's what I grew up with. Her dress is this shiny iridescent material. Shows all kinds of colors in the light. I love it so much. And up here on her shoulder pads, and she's got 4 colors on her arm, and then her body is blue, and I'll show you where her tag is. It's on her back, and that gives a little more information about like who manufactured it, what country it was manufactured in, things like that. And I want to give you a close-up of her face so you can see her face paint. I just love her face. It's so adorable and just friendly and cute. There's her little purple star. Her star is probably the lightest of the group. I wish that had been a bit darker. And again, this is a 30-something-year-old doll, so it could have faded a bit over time. That may have been darker in the past. But all the dolls, even the ones still in the box, it's a lighter purple. Her hair comes in a ponytail, just like this one. This one may have been taken down and put back up because it's a little scraggly back there, and most of them, if they have not been taken down, their hair is still pretty pristine. But I won't be able to show you. I'll show it on a different doll. But there's a white elastic band underneath her bow, and then there's a blue bow that goes over that. And it's super, super cute. And that's really all the detail there is. Although, let me also point out the copyright is on the back of her head as well. It says Hallmark cards. And you can see the zip tie that holds her head on. Some fans have been brave enough to break that and take the head off and reroute hair and do different things, make customs. I have not been brave enough to do that yet. Maybe one day. We'll see. Maybe one of you can do a tutorial video of how to remove a doll head, and then I'll feel more confident about doing it myself. But anyway, here she is. And I also want to show you a variant of this doll, and that is the red bottom. Now this one does not have her dress or her hair bow or anything, but all of those things were the same. It's just the underbody that's different, and it's just stitched around the middle there. It goes all the way around. And in the fandom, we just kind of call these the red bottom I almost said red bottom girls. Kind of reminds me of a Queen song. The red bottom dolls. And there is the 18-inch version and also a 12-inch version that has half of a red bodysuit. I have no idea why, but they're out there. So if you are interested in collecting variants, you can be on the lookout for that. And this particular doll was manufactured in Taiwan. I don't know if all red bottom dolls were manufactured there. I do have a 12-inch one somewhere. I tried to find it before this video, but I couldn't. It's around, but I don't know where right now, so I can't compare where it was manufactured. But if I find it, I'll put a note in the comments or an annotation on the video to say yay or nay whether it was also made in Taiwan. But the other doll I just showed you without the red bottom, that one was made in China. So I think almost all of these dolls were made in Asian countries. Several were made in Korea. I've seen some made in the Philippines. But then there's also some made in South America. So these were made all over the world, but they weren't manufactured in the US. They were definitely sold here. And this generation of doll was sold all over almost said just the country. Sorry. This was sold all over the world. And we've seen a few variations actually from different countries, not necessarily with the 18-inch doll. It's more the 12-inch where the doll itself looks slightly different. But the boxes definitely look different depending on what country they're from. So if you look online, you will see, and I'm rambling. Sorry. I get a little excited when it comes to Rainbow Brite, and I have like all this knowledge floating around in my head, and I want to get it all out, and I have to concentrate. I even made notes this time, you guys. It did. And I tried it and forget anything about this doll. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention she came in a box, because the one we just got from Hallmark did not. She just had a hand tag. This doll actually did come in a very large, more than 18-inch high box, and it came with a story booklet inside. And a lot of those boxes have still held up to this day. The plastic sometimes turns yellow with age or with sun exposure, but they're really well constructed boxes and just well made dolls. I mean, even this one who's been super well loved, as you can tell. There's no holes, there's no stuffing coming out of her. She's still put together so well. None of the stitching has come loose. So these dolls really hold up super, super well. You don't get that kind of quality a lot these days, but a lot of the dolls from the 80s just were made from different materials, I guess. Anyway, let's move on. Although this one is also from the 80s. So the second doll I'm going to talk about is also from the 80s, and this is the Emotions Rainbow Brite. So she is 16 inches tall, almost identical to the 18-inch, just smaller. She is also made by Mattel, but she's made by a different division of Mattel called Emotions. So you'll be able to see on the tag if you have an Emotions doll or a regular Mattel doll. And I'll hold them up side by side so you can see the size difference. So the dress is almost identical, just smaller, and it doesn't have the point in the front like this one does. They used some different materials. If you notice their legs, like this one has, woo, like the material almost looks a little bit spotted at this point, and this one does not. But the colors are very similar, so probably just use some slightly different materials. She only has 4 colors on her arm instead of 5. It doesn't go up to the teal like this one does. It just goes up to green. There you go. And she has the same copyright on the back of her head. She has the white elastic band that I was talking about with the other doll. So this should have a blue bow over top of it, but the blue bow has disappeared, sadly. So she only has her white band. What else? Okay, so her face is identical, basically, just smaller. She's a bit dirty, and most of this is just marker and so forth. But I did want to point out something that is not marker. See these dots back here? This is a problem that plagues the Emotions dolls, and it's only the Emotions dolls. So it was just the material that they were made with, this particular plastic. And at least what we used to call it was BDS, which is vinyl deterioration syndrome. But I did a tiny bit of Googling before I started this video, and some people say that that's a myth. It doesn't exist. Do your own research. But what they used to say was that that was caused by mold up inside the head of the doll. So the only way to get rid of it, and it wouldn't even get rid of the existing spots, but how to keep it from forming new spots over time, was to take the head off, clean the inside really well, probably use some bleach to kill all the bacteria or whatever, and put it back on. And then hopefully you won't get any more spots. But I have some dolls that are just covered in them, and there's no getting rid of them, sadly. So if you come across a doll and it looks diseased, it is. Or at least that's what we used to call it. But I'm glad that it was only this line of dolls. It does not affect the larger or the smaller Rainbow Brite dolls or any of the other generation. It's just the Emotions dolls from the 80s that have that issue. Thankfully hers is not completely overrun. Poor little thing. And then we'll move on to the 90s. We're going to get out of the 80s now. So this was, oh, I did forget something. Sorry. Going back. She did not come in a box, I wanted to mention. She just had a hand tag. Some of my other dolls have them still on. She doesn't. But that's how she was sold, was just with a hand tag. Okay, now we'll move on to the 90s. This doll was made by a company called Up, Up, and Away. The copyright is 1996, but I do not believe that they showed up in stores until 1997. At least that's when I saw them and refused to buy them at the time. I really hated these dolls when they first came out, and I'm not sure I even saw the big one back then. I only saw the smaller, and they're interesting. I don't hate them as much now, but they're definitely not my favorites. Although I really, really like. Like, look at this adorable face. It's just precious. I like her eyes and her mouth. She does not have a purple star on her cheek. Not sure why. But she has a dress. Over here it says RB. She's got a smock. And she has removable shoes. Oh, and also she has 2 ribbons in her hair. They're 2 different colors. And I want to mention there are 4 different variations of this doll. And it has to do with the color of her outfit and shoes and ribbons. And I'll just read them off to you real quick. I made a little list. So there's light pink dress. This is probably this one. Purple smock. Red shoes. Light pink and dark pink hair ribbons. That would be this one. There's also one that's a purple dress with a light green smock, green shoes, and dark pink and yellow hair ribbons. There's one with a light green dress, light pink smock, purple shoes, light pink and yellow hair ribbons. And then there's one that's just a purple dress and purple shoes with no smock, apparently. This research has been done over the years, you know, scouring over eBay, not necessarily buying all of them. I think I own several of these variants, but I don't know that I have all of them. But you see pictures of different dolls and you can just pick up over time like, oh, that one's different from this other one. And that's what we know so far. If you know of another variation, please let me know. I'll add it to the list. But what I really love about this doll, other than her cute face, is her hair. It's magnificent. Even more than my own. So in the front, just blonde and blonde up here, and then all of these lovely colors. And for the time, that was pretty cool. I mean, obviously in the 80s, we had several dolls with different colored hair, from Gem to My Little Pony. Who am I forgetting? Strawberry Shortcake. Lots of characters with different colored hair. But in the 90s, it was starting to become more of a thing that you could actually do to your own hair. In the 80s, Manic Panic didn't exist. In the 90s, it did. You could start dyeing your own hair, crazy colors. So that was probably when that fad started catching on. They decided to put that on this doll. And I also love her neon colored armbands, or sleeves, I should say. It's just a sleeve of her outfit. And that's actually part of her dress. Underneath, she has little yellow panties on, but it's not an entire bodysuit that goes all the way up. And her tag is right in the middle of her back. There. And let's see. Okay, so she came in a closed box, but in some other country or countries, not sure, there was a window box version where it came up to about here, so you could at least see her head and down to her waist. But yeah. Some of them you could actually see inside of, but the ones we got over here in America were all closed box. So you had no idea what variant you were getting unless you opened the box and looked. And back then, I didn't know any better. I was in college. I didn't have, I don't know. I just didn't care because I didn't like the doll. So I didn't go looking for variants, and we didn't know back then that that was a thing. That's just been in recent years that we've discovered that. And so now I'm trying to collect them all. Gotta catch them all. And there was also another variant who was actually kind of more a different character than a variant called Sparkle Brite. And that is the black version of this doll. So the outfit is, I'm pretty sure, the same. I'd have to look again at the picture to see what color dress she was wearing. And her hair, it was more, the colors were in the front. And then she had dark hair in the back. But yeah, she was just the black version. And I really wish I had her, but she's so rare. I only know of one, and Renee has that one. So that's super cool. And you should go to her website to read up more about that doll and check her out. But that's the other one I do not have. Let's see if I'm forgetting anything. Oh, should have mentioned what she came with. She came with glow paint, and it was spelled G-L-O. Well, it was Color Glow. Sorry, Color Glow paint. And you could like paint her dress and her hair and her face and everything, and then you could wash it off and do it again. And it glowed in the dark. That's why it was called glow paint. So I obviously have not done this, and all of the glow paint I have has dried up and looks gross at this point. But it was kind of a cute gimmick. Yeah. So the next doll I want to talk about is the 2003-2004 doll from Toy Play. So she's copyright 2003, but did not come out in stores until 2004. That's why I say both years. But the copyright date on her tag, does it say? So this one doesn't have a year on it. The boxes will say 2003 though. But on the back of her head, just like the original, it will say 1983 Hallmark cards, which has definitely been a point of confusion for many fans and sellers and buyers, because they see that copyright and assume that it's a vintage doll, when in fact, she's from 2004, which to some people might be vintage. It's more than 10 years old. It's weird to think that that was over 10 years ago. But anyway, she is almost an identical replica, in some ways anyway, of the original 80s toy. So she was kind of like the 20th anniversary doll. But you can see several differences as well. The hair color being 1, the bow being 2, the face, let me move this one out of the way. The face paint is very, very similar, and the head mold is almost identical as well. But you can see this one's eyes are a bit smaller and have more white painted in them. And her star is definitely darker. Her lip color is a little bit brighter. But still super, super cute doll. So it was definitely feeding on the nostalgia factor, but also being its own doll and giving us some new details that the original did not have. So one detail is the 3 dots across here, which I love that because this one is definitely more cartoon accurate, we'll say, than the original. Her color belt is actually sewn on, so it's not going anywhere. It gets a little dirty, and this starts to like pull up sometimes, but at least it's not going to fall off. She has even more colors on her armbands, and she has the star. And then on her boots, we get a lot of detail. She's got that orange strap, yellow star, and all of the black stitches around her shoe. But those details, the star and what's on her boot, they're like painted on to the fabric. They're not part of the fabric. So as you can see on this one, it's starting to crack up a little bit just over time. And this is a doll that's been played with. I just got her because all of my 2004 dolls are in boxes, and I wanted one that was not. So I could show her off to you guys. And her tush tag is right here on her booty. And what else? Yeah, she's got the zip tie, right? Well, it sticks out a little bit if you pull that down. There it is. But that's kind of cool that they had a flap. They tried to cover it up, but you can still have access to it in case her head falls off and you need to repair it. Which their heads are really wobbly. That's why I'm holding her by her head. Because, yeah, wee, wobbly heads. Which is a problem also with the ones I still have in the box, because when they sit down, their heads droop. So, yeah, that's probably my biggest complaint about these guys, is the head droop. And some of the color kids, I don't like their face paint, or at least their eyes, at all. But I like hers. But I don't like her hair color. Like I said, I like the original strawberry blonde, and this is way too yellow. And it's almost like on the green end of the yellow spectrum. It's just, it looks dirty all the time to me, even when it's not. And her legs, the flesh colored is a good bit lighter than the original. And she actually has some fabric up here at the top before her neck, unlike the original. And she also came in a box, but it was an open box. So she was sitting in a box, but then there was nothing over top of her, no plastic, no nothing. So all of my dolls in boxes get very dusty and dirty, sadly. So less protection. Although she did come with a DVD, so at least she did come with something in her box. And I also will show you the other variation. That's the same doll, but this one talks. So here, this is what I'm talking about with the open box, although the other one's box was smaller than this, because this one comes with some extra accessories as well. And let's see if she still works.
What's your favorite color? Did you know rainbows bring good luck?
I still am not sure what she's saying there. If someone can understand her, I will be thrilled. So tell me what she says there. And one of these you're going to laugh at. It might be the next one.
I decorate the world with color.
Not that one.
Hi, I'm Rainbow Brite.
Not that one.
I live in Rainbow Land with the color kids.
Where is it? I know it's in here somewhere.
Color me happy to be with you.
I didn't realize she said so many things. I forgot.
Red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, and violet.
Yeah, she just left out the color green in the rainbow. Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. That's my biggest complaint in the entire line of Toy Play dolls. How does Rainbow Brite leave green out of the rainbow?
What's your favorite color?
Let's see if I can get to that weird phrase again that I can't understand.
I decorate the world with color. Hi, I'm Rainbow Brite. I live in Rainbow Land with the color kids. Color me happy to be with you.
Now she's going to say everything except that.
Can you name the colors of the rainbow? Red, orange, yellow,
Green.
indigo, and violet. What's your favorite color? Did you know rainbows bring good luck?
Did you know rainbow blah 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 blah? Sounds like, did you know rainbow leans to the left? I don't know. I honestly have no idea what she's saying in that phrase. Oh, it's 8 different phrases. Okay. It's more than I remembered. But the only one I really focused on and recollected was the one where she leaves out green in the rainbow. And myself and a bunch of the other fans actually emailed Toy Play back when that happened. And they were just like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And said that they would fix it, you know, if they made another run of dolls, but they never did. So they all have that flaw, sadly. But apart from that, she's identical. I'm assuming, though, she has like a battery pack or something in her back. Yeah, there's definitely something I can see on her back that's not on this one, some Velcro. So you'll be able to tell which one you have by what her back looks like. But her dress and everything is the same. But yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but there's dust. So much dust. Yuck. Anyway, sorry. I'm admiring her. I haven't really looked at her closely in a while. She is super cute, even if she doesn't know the colors of the rainbow. And she's Rainbow Brite. So, let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything else. Yeah, that one does not come with the DVD, but she comes with extra stuff. Oh, and the DVD that this one came with is just one episode of the Vintage Rainbow Brite series, and it's the episode Star Sprinkled, which is not my favorite episode. Like, if you're gonna only give one episode to people to introduce them to the character, don't give them that one. Oh well. And that's the only time any Rainbow Brite episode has been released on DVD in the US. So that's what we got stuck with. Boo. We did get the movie. Also, Yeah, 2004, 2005. But we haven't ever gotten the episodes on DVD or Blu-ray. Sad, sad, sad face. We need those really bad. Anyway, I think that's everything about these dolls. Yeah, I got them in 2004 or 5 when they started coming out. But the timing of that I feel was not the greatest, and this line did okay. I'd say as far as the lines of Rainbow Brite dolls go, the ones from the 80s absolutely did the best. They sold like gangbusters. There were tons of sales. Millions, if not billions of dollars spent on Rainbow Brite merchandise in the 80s. But the 90s dolls did not sell well. I mean, they had the name Rainbow Brite, but other than that, they looked very little like Rainbow Brite. And the color kids had completely different names. Like, they were just different characters altogether. And I'm not even sure they really advertised that. Like, they had a little website. It was, of course, websites in 1997 weren't much to look at anyway. But yeah, they didn't do much advertising. They did actually make a commercial for this line and played it on Nickelodeon. And they actually had a website on Nick Jr., which was really cute. It was a little Flash-based website, so things moved. I think there were games you can play and so forth. Sadly, I don't have a copy of that site anymore. I wish I did. Well, I say anymore. I never did. I thought I had a copy of it, but I had copied the wrong files. Because I didn't know how Flash worked back then. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. But yeah, she was sold in Toys R Us. I don't think they were sold in any other stores. And they were not sold overseas. They were only sold in the US. But yeah, apart from the 80s line, I'd say this one was second best as far as sales went. I think it lasted for a couple of years. Because another reason I say that, she's copyright 2003 as well as most of the other dolls, but the talking doll is actually copyright 2004. Sorry, I got too many numbers in my head. So the talking doll came out later, so they were at least waiting to see how well these guys sold before they put out another one. They did at least last long enough to put her out, and they made a color castle. So they gave us some cool stuff before the line ended, but sadly they didn't get to do everything they wanted to do. I think that really is everything. Looking at my notes. Oh, I know the other thing I wanted to mention. She has a bit too much stuffing for my taste. Like, her hands are kind of huge. It's like a big paw. Compared to the original, which has like stitched fingers. Her hand's kind of flat, except for her thumb. And that's how they did on the new Hallmark doll. Which I prefer that definitely to the big monstrous hand, and her legs are really thick and full of stuffing, so I feel like she's a little overstuffed. But I really think that's all. Wait, let me put her back here. So we're gonna move on again. And this time, actually, I need to change pages in my notes. Okay, yeah. Oh no, I was about to grab the wrong doll. Sorry, wrong order. These came out about the same time. You can forgive me, but this one did come out first, so we're going to start with her. This is the 2009 doll released by Playmates Toys, and she is actually copyright 2009 and did come out in 2009, barely. I got her the day after Christmas. That's when she started coming out, the tail end of 2009. Her and the 3 smaller fashion dolls all came out at the very end of the year, but everything else came out at the beginning of 2010. So they totally missed the holiday season, and I think that's one reason that this line was probably the shortest of all. I think this one actually lasted a shorter amount of time even than the 90s one, and that's saying something. Or if not shorter, maybe around the same amount of time. But there was no advertisement. It was just like word of mouth, I guess. Maybe in some catalogs or magazines or something. I don't know, but not a lot. No commercials or anything. She did have a website, though, which was cool, and they made some short webisodes that they were okay. They weren't great quality-wise, like animation-wise or voice acting-wise. They were okay. But they weren't like full episodes. But it was better than nothing, I guess. Anyway, about the doll. I have lots of tangents I could go out on. But she's 15 inches, like I said already, I think. Her dress is very thin. It's shiny, it's soft, but it's very thin. And I actually gave one of these to my niece back when it first came out, and she loved the doll so much that her dress fell apart. Like, it just starts to fray and turns to ribbons, and not a really high quality dress, I gotta say. I mean, it's pretty. I like the colors on it. I like that it's shiny, but it did not hold up well to abuse by a small child. The boots are really good quality. They're the super thick plastic, but you can actually take them off. And I think you'll see the detail there. Yeah, it's all molded. I mean, there's even the lines. So they definitely paid some attention to detail. And her dress is so different because the whole design was different in 2009. So the design of the characters in the little webisodes was different. The dolls were different. They had stickers and so forth. They were all just a completely different style of Rainbow Brite. And I think that's maybe another reason they didn't sell so well. It was a bit too different, a bit too Barbie. And not this doll necessarily, but the smaller ones look a lot like Barbie dolls. And we prefer plushies. So, but let me show you her adorable face because it is really, really cute. I like her face paint. And she has a cute little 2-star. Okay, it's just on clear elastic. But I like those stars, they're cute. And this beautiful side ponytail. Adorbs. So there's a lot of good things about her. Like, she looks great in the collection, and she actually has a blue star instead of purple, which not the end of the world. At least she has a star. Sorry, there was some dirt in there. And I love the little stars painted in her eyes. If you didn't notice that, that's adorable. So she's all right. She also did come in a window box, which is good. That keeps them from getting way too dirty. I do have another one still in the box. But there's not a whole lot else to say about this doll, unless I'm forgetting something. Yeah, they were sold, I bought mine in Target, that's where I got my dolls, but they were also sold in Meijer and Toys R Us stores. Oh yeah, she also has a copyright on the back of her head, but it actually says 2009. It's really tiny letters, so I don't know if you'll be able to see it. And what else? Yeah, she didn't come with anything. And some of the other dolls that came in boxes had accessories. She did not. It was just her. But she's cute at least. There's that. And then came out right around the same time. So this was January, I think. Yeah. Again, her copyright is 2009, but she came out in January of 2010, middle of January. And she was online only. I don't believe she or the small Madame Alexander doll were ever in stores. Sorry if I didn't mention, this is the Madame Alexander doll. So just sold online from toysrus.com, and eventually they also put them up on FAO Schwartz's website, I believe, and Madame Alexander's website. But these were not cheap dolls. These were just like collectibles. They were not meant to be played with. This doll was $54.99. That's expensive. And I don't even think she's cute. This is my least favorite, at least of the large dolls. Look at that flat face. Just like painted on. Just, And I guess I'm not a huge fan of rag dolls in general, but especially not this one. Just, no. And I do like the material, I guess, that it's made out of. It's good quality, I can tell. It should be for that price. But it's also that kind of material that would get ruined, I feel, really easily if this were ever played with. Which I know it wasn't meant to be. It was a collectible, but still. She has the detail of the strap and the star painted onto the fabric on her boot. I don't think these actually come off. I don't think I ever tried. No, they don't come off. They're sewn to the foot. And something, oh yeah, she also has the little stars right there. That's cute. And a little puffiness of that. That's cute. She has the 3 dots. Cute. Hasbro's not cute. Is that purple? No, actually, it's blue. Sorry. Just realized that. And something they got wrong on this doll. Put it up beside this one. See if you can figure out what it is. No, it's the color belt. Look where the star is. It's backwards. Sigh. Which I did not even notice until I started getting these dolls ready to do this video. So I guess it wasn't that big of a deal, or I would have noticed it before. But how do you get that wrong? Who else has a color belt? Everybody. Everybody has a color belt. And they're all on the other side. It's supposed to go down to the left. This one is on the right. But her hair bow is cute. I do not like the color of her hair at all. This is the lightest yellow of all of them. At least of the yarn hair, and it's just like neon yellow. Doesn't suit, at least not with these colors. Like if her dress were a lighter blue, maybe, but it's very navy indigo blue, so I just don't think it fits. And her body is very lackluster. It's just white cotton or polyester or something. So no detail there. And I think, no, you can't take the dress off. Okay. It's just Velcro down the back. But, and yeah, her tag is down here. FYI. And there's one on her dress as well. And she had a little hand tag. But this doll also did not come in a box. I ordered her online and she came in a clear plastic bag. Sad! Especially if we're paying $55. I think she should come in a box. I would have made it much better for display purposes. But she's one of the large dolls, so I have to mention her. I think that's really it. Yeah, not a lot to say about her. And then real quick, right here on the end, I've already gone over the new doll from Hallmark, which I love, but I wanted to mention something real quick because I got a second one, and there's a couple differences from the first that I already reviewed. So remember this one I was saying there's no stuffing in the top of the legs, which there's not. But this one does have stuffing in the top. It still tapers off towards the top, which it should, but this one does have stuffing all the way to the top of the legs. So I was glad to see that. So they're not all like this. And the other thing I wanted to mention was her bangs. This one has just fluffier and more bangs. See, on this one it like covers up her ear, whereas this one, well, it kind of does. But you can tell the difference. There's just more hair on this one in the bang section. But in the back, you know, all of that hair looks the same. It's just the bangs that are different. So that's all. I know I rambled a lot. I apologize. I hope this was at least somewhat interesting. If you have any questions for me, absolutely ask. I'll be happy to answer anything I can. If I left anything out, I'll try to tack it on the end, or I'll put it in the comments or something. But yeah, absolutely always feel free to talk to me here on YouTube. I love all you guys that comment on my videos. You make me feel so loved. And I just love hearing your feedback, and you're all so sweet. So please keep commenting and tell me what you'd like to see. And I know several of you want to see a tour of my Rainbow Land Museum, and I'm gonna get to it very soon. That's one reason I wanted to do this now while I had all my dolls out, so that I can then put them away and get the museum set up again nicely to do a tour for you guys. So I'll try to do that really soon. But for now, that's it. And I hope you guys have a rainbow day. Bye.